What's going on, world? I'm JVaz, and you're watching the JVaz Show. This episode, we're going to call State of the Podcast. All right, so once again, we appreciate everybody that tunes into the podcast. Shout outs to all the new subscribers on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. If you're watching for the first time and you like what I'm about to say, make sure you hit the subscribe button and tune in every week. We're gonna have some new footage on here of a little bit of everything. And the reason for this episode, I want to get everybody familiar with what the show does, what the show is about. If you're just barely tuning in to us, if you're just subscribing to us recently, we want to let you guys know exactly what the show is about and what we got going on. So first of all, first things first, let's talk about the show. The idea of the JVaz Show is to bring light to all independent and up-and-coming artists from all around the world. Right now, we're focusing in Houston, in the Houston area. We do stay around the Houston area, so therefore, most of the artists you're going to be seeing here in the upcoming months is going to be mainly Houston artists. If you are an independent artist and would like to be on the show, make sure you send us your music to artist@thejvazshow.com. Now, if you just getting familiar with us because of YouTube, I want to let you know we do have an audio version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all other streaming services. So there's a couple of things that you'll be able to find on there that you cannot find on the YouTube channel. For example, we have interviews that we did with Anna Mays, with Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, Cleva de la Nave. A lot of cool interviews, a lot of older interviews that we've done with these artists. The first interview we did with Coast is not on YouTube, but you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Also, one of the things that you will not see on YouTube is the episode we like to call The Underdog. On The Underdog, we play music from all independent and up-and-coming artists every Friday, and we do that just on the streaming services because YouTube, obviously, they won't allow us to do that for whatever reason. Well, mainly because these artists have their music with whatever distribution they're using, and as soon as we upload the video with music, they start sending us all these flags of copyright and fragments or whatnot, and we're not trying to deal with all that stuff right now. So again, if you're not subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, make sure you do so. The link is on the description of the podcast. You can find The Underdog on there, so you can listen to all your favorite independent and underground artists. And another thing that I wanted to talk about, we appreciate all of you guys leaving comments. We appreciate you guys leaving us your suggestions on who you would like to see on the podcast. Keep those suggestions coming. Keep the comments coming. Keep the likes coming. Let us know who you want us to have on the show. It doesn't matter if it's your next door neighbor or if it's, that boy T, whoever the case might be. Keep those coming. Now, an update on who we got coming up next. I just realized I got my work glasses on. I'm too deep into this episode now to change them. But anyways, we do have a couple of dope interviews coming up. We have Castro Escobar. You guys might be familiar with him. He is signed with Snow the Product, the Vibe Hire crew. We also have Shadow Ramirez from Dope House. He'll be joining the podcast pretty soon. We have Big C's from Hater Proof Records coming soon as well. We're currently working on having GT Garza on the show as well. So those are a couple of things a couple of interviews that you should be expecting in the upcoming weeks, upcoming months. And wanted to point out a couple things as well. We do try to get everybody that you guys are suggesting. We've been in contact with we try to contact Looney, Mofo. I think some of y'all guys wanted him on here. He hasn't got back with us yet, so that's something we'll hopefully we can, eventually get in touch with him. We did get in touch with Lucky Luciano. Some of you guys wanted Lucky Luciano on the show. Unfortunately, to be honest with you guys, that's probably not going to happen. He got back with us, but he's looking to charge, I think he said like $500. And to be honest with you guys, we're not in a position. We're independent and up and coming podcast as well. So we're not in a position to be paying that kind of money for an interview. Not knocking him. Shout out to Lucky Luciano. Hopefully in the future we can have him on here. But as of now, it's probably not going to happen. We're going to start pushing a Patreon page. If you guys would like to help us so that we can make some of these interviews happen, you guys can make donations from sponsorships, how they like to call them. $5, $10, $20, even $1 a month. I believe it gives you an option on there. So again, we're trying to get some of these artists on here. Some of these artists do charge, so it makes things a little more difficult as far as having them on the podcast. Because like I mentioned, we're still an up-and-coming podcast. We're not established to be able to afford to pay all these artists and for interviews. So once again, I hope you guys enjoy the content we have on here. We're going to have interviews. We're going to have footage of shows that we attend. And again, if you enjoy this and you love listening to independent artists and you love listening to underground music, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Type in on the search bar the JVaz Show, and you can find our podcast. Hit the subscribe button, and again, rate it, review it, let us know what you think. If you're an independent artist yourself, submit your music to us, like I said, at the JVaz, at artists@thejvazshow.com. Those links are on the description of the podcast. And once again, I am JVaz, and as always, it's been a pleasure, and you're watching the JVaz Show.